Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of C-Suite Unfiltered, where I'm sitting across the table from the liar himself, Mike Andes. Mike, would you like to make a public statement at this time? Where are the documents? Reveal the documents.
Oh, man, yeah. So today I sent an email out and a Facebook and put it on social, basically retracting what I did with Landscape Business Course back in... Do you want me to give you the whole story?
I mean, yeah, let's just, I can ask questions as needed.
Okay, yeah, you can probe. And
Yeah.
So summer 2016, wanted to start Landscape Business Course as an online course. I'd been making some videos online and doing some stuff. I'd probably had like all of 1,000 subscribers, but it was mostly caused after my accident. I was like, okay, I've started to change the business. It's starting to really see improvement. Let me go ahead and document all of this in a course and, creating systems in the business, right? So hired a videographer, a crew, actually, a few people. Very expensive, actually, by the way, because I didn't have a media team. And at the time, I wasn't like, I didn't have all these businesses and things. So, I had him come out for 3 weeks and then several months of post-production, made a bunch of videos, created Landscape Business Course. And so then I really didn't add much to it. In 2018, I added a little bit of training around pay for performance before we had p4psoftware.com. But really didn't add a lot to it. And so in January of 2022, last year, a little over a year ago, the media team redesigned the site because I had built it on WordPress myself using a plugin called Course Cats. You can look it up. It's still active today, that plugin. And so I built it myself. And on there, one of the FAQs, unbeknownst to me until last Saturday, it said it includes access to all the lectures and future lectures that would come.
Okay.
And
that FAQ video was recorded in
It wasn't a video. It was like a text question.
And that was put up on the
sentences.
website when you created it in 2016?
Yeah.
Okay.
January 2022 comes around. The media team's like, hey, this site looks like garbage. I'm like, yeah, I know. I made it like way back when. I didn't know what I was doing. So they redesigned the whole thing. 2022 goes by. Later in the summer, like July, August, I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's turn it into a subscription that will allow me to be able to be forced to make new content for the course members because like it'd been stale. Like the videos were now 7 years old. Some of them things I'm like, hey, I would want to re-say that again. Like it wasn't like now having 125 locations and like years of experience, I think I could do a better job on certain elements of the marketing side and parts of the lectures. So like I want to redo them all, which is gonna take a couple months. Plus I want to add to it on an ongoing basis. Let's turn it into a subscription, and then let's let everyone that doesn't want to buy the subscription, they will have lifetime access to everything that is in there now. I'll keep all the templates, all the documents, all the videos. They'll have access to that. But then anyone going forward, they'll be part of the subscription. And I'll give anyone that was in the past 6 months free in the subscription to see if they like it and just give them more value. And they would get all the revised videos in that 6 months. So did that. I thought it was great. Whatever. It's been really, really good. Been able to do a lot more content, some more exclusive stuff that is 30, 40, 50 minutes long that doesn't do well on YouTube and has really burnt my YouTube channel for years. And now that I haven't done it the past few months, so you haven't seen the channel take off because I'm not putting that type of content out. So anyways, Saturday, I find out that someone screenshot it and said, hey, this is from your site like a couple years back. And so I determined, like, based upon that, it means that in January 2022, when the guys redesigned the site, it looked way better. But the problem is, we moved from Course Cats to Teachable. It's an online platform for courses. Anyways, that was taken out in January. So in August, September, when we switched everything to the subscription, I never saw that. I never saw that, like, it include all future. It just said lifetime access. And so that's what I thought I was giving to everybody. And so turns out everyone before January 2022 potentially could have seen that. And they could have seen that it was included future lectures. And I do think even if you strip that away, it's still somewhat, it can be cloudy when I say lifetime access. Instead of like, you get lifetime, you get the core, you get the videos forever. That's what I was thinking, but I can see how totally you would think that in perpetuity, anything I add to this, you're going to have part of, right? So anyway, just to clean the deck, gave everyone that had ever signed up until we made it very clear it was a subscription in June, July, whatever, of 2022, just gave them all free access now. I think that was just the right thing to do. And yeah, I kind of messed up. So I had to ask for forgiveness because I did not remember that, did not see that. We did not purposely do that. And the media team knows, like they know when we were making this whole transition, like why we were doing it and everything. And they would have held me accountable if they would have remembered. But it was like 8-9 months before that when they redesigned the site. You know?
Now let me play like business devil's advocate. Couldn't you just call it like a rebrand? Like, because it's not really even the same product at that point.
But we didn't rebrand it. It's still called Landscape Business Course.
Right, but if you were to say rebrand it right now.
Yeah. Like,
and I'm not saying this is a money grab. Like I said, this is business devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, what we should have done if we were trying to maximize the dollars was we would have redone, like we would have called it like Landscape Business Course Pro, and then we made a separate thing.
Right.
And so I just didn't do that. And so if I would have done that, yes, you're right. It would have made people would have disassociated, like, oh, I get lifetime access to this, and then but if I want lifetime access to like the new stuff, I got to get more. But we just didn't do that, and there's definitely no way I'm going back on that now. So I just figured, hey, let's put everyone in.
Do you want to say how many people that it is?
How many people are in the course?
How many people now get that access?
790 something. Yeah.
Jeez. That's not an easy decision.
Yeah. Well, it.
I feel like I guess I want people to listening to like feel that it's not like Mike just made another business decision. Like this is a pretty weighted decision.
Not really. I made it in about 5 seconds. I saw the screenshot and I was like, I could immediately know that I made that years and years ago, and it looks like garbage. It looks so bad. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, like this is very obvious of what we need to do. What took me a day to figure out was because I was like, okay, well then everyone that up until January, they should get a refund, or like they should get in for free. And then I was like, okay, but if I do that immediately, everyone that from there till June of 2022, they're gonna feel jilted. So like just clean it. So yeah, it would probably, if you take $600 times that by 2, so that's $1,200. Multiply that by, let's just call it 350, like half the people. It's like 350, 400 grand. Yeah. Dude, let's go. I didn't even do that math before.
That's why I did have some weight to it.
Yeah.
Your decision-making process, I mean, you're deliberate and you're efficient with your decision-making, but it is a heavily weighted amount of money.
Yeah, but this was not a business decision. This was a matter of like, this is your brand, and I've genuinely made the mistake, so there was no question. Like I never even ran the math because like it was like obviously anyone prior to that date could have seen that, and yeah, maybe they didn't. It was like the bottom of the page in an FAQ. But it's not worth the long-term brand reputation either. If someone like today, they feel jilted by that and they saw that and they're like, what in the world? Well, who's to say that they now don't become a franchisee and then that's 10 years of franchise fees. Like if you were really tripping down the numbers, right? They don't come to conference because they feel jilted. There's a bunch of things. They tell 5 other people. So in talking about like brand and like where we're at now and what we want to do, it's like, whatever I do now compounds, whether it be good or bad. So if I do something stupid with my brand, you see plenty of brands that make stupid decisions. Like if you do something wrong, it can compound with time. So I just so Saturday I got it. Sunday I wrote out what I wanted to say. And then first thing Monday morning, the media team, like, this is what's going on. I need a picture. This is the text. This is the email. This is how it needs to roll out. And we just did it right away. Cause like it looks so bad. Like as much as I'm trying to explain it right now, it's just a dumb move. Like the optics are pathetic. So I don't want that because that I couldn't sleep very well Saturday night. So like things like that, I have to deal with it right away and get it over with and like move on.
Yeah. I want this to be very clear. I think you did the right thing, but I just want to play business devil's advocate. I don't know. Why didn't you just take the McDonald's method and be like, yeah, the coffee stays fresh if it's at a hotter temperature, and a few people are going to burn themselves every year, and we'll just pay them off. We'll just pay the legal fees.
Yeah,
like you could have just. I'm once again just business devil's advocate. You did the right thing, but
yeah, but let's call it 350. Let's go down a bit, right? Just because there's always people that like went out of business or whatever. So let's call it 300 grand a year. That's basically what I walked away from. If I really have the ambition of building like $1 billion business, 300 grand, yeah, like it hurts in the short term. That's a Lambo every year in cash, baby. But like, yeah, it's just not worth it. Yeah, whatever keeps me up at night has to be dealt with within 24 to 48 hours. And like I would have done it within 5 minutes if it would have been on a weekday and I had the media team. So, yeah, first thing we just clean it up.
I think you did the right thing. I don't know. I also think too, from a consumer's perspective, I wouldn't be that upset. Now, obviously, as an employee of yours, I get all your content for free, so thank you for that. But but I feel like I wouldn't be that upset because even like the fact that I get to work with you and all of your free content has taught me so much. I'd be like, I get it. Like you have to make money. Like you've given me so much free content over the years.
And that's how I would say 99.9% of the people in the course, 99% of the people in the course feel that way. And that's how they roll. But there's always something in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Right. And so the next time when I say lifetime and the reason, like, if someone like has a doubt, and I'm sure, I don't know if this person, I haven't looked at my phone since I posted all this. So like, if someone does blow it up and they're mad about it, it's like, look at MBA for Entrepreneurs. Everyone that, when we did switch to subscription, they did all get lifetime. And it's because I knew it was on the site, and and there's more money in MBA for Entrepreneurs because it's outside of lawn care and landscaping. Right. I gave all of them lifetime access because it said it on the site. I didn't give it to Landscape Business Course because it had been 8 or 9 months since the site had been redesigned and it wasn't in there. So, yeah, anyways.
Yeah, no, I like it. Like I said, I think you did the right thing. I was going to pull up the comments, but we don't have to see. You know?
Oh, yeah.
No.
I don't think they're going to be that bad. Like, if someone's really flying off the handle, I already gave the media team, like, instructions on what to do. But also, it does show me a certain level of, like, okay, like, keep an eye on that person, too, because, like, it's a genuine mistake. I ask for forgiveness. I'm going to refund people if I have to. I'm walking away from a significant amount of money. So, yeah.
Yeah. Just some lawn boy money. Yeah. I appreciate the apology.
Yeah.
I think it was fine. I don't know, but I do. I guess I just appreciate your honesty and that, like, yeah, it kept you up at night and you felt like you had to do the right thing and you made the right call for you and ultimately a moral call for you is a good and moral call for your brand and your long-term growth. So.
Yeah, but like if you look from a business decision too, like there's plenty of things that go against it, right? So like, it makes it good, right? So for example, there is probably 25 to 30% of the audience of that 800 that haven't not interacted with me for a few years, either because they're out of business or something. So it's a way to re-engage them. So I was like, okay, that's not a bad thing. Get them back in the course. Hopefully help them if they've kind of fallen off the bandwagon. And then secondly, it does create goodwill for people to know that I am going to follow up on if I do something, if I say something, and if I do make a mistake, which I'm going to, I will correct it, regardless of the monetary implications. And that's important as I do, like, whether it be Augusta, and that really means the scale, or Copilot, or any of these things. Like, if I say something, I will do it, even if it means a bit of, like, short-term loss financially. So I think it's just important. I think, like, long-term, like, you know, it's just so important. Like, your brand is so important. And I'm not trying to, like, sell anything. So it's just, like, why burn the long-term for, like, a short-term dollar?
Yeah, that's fair. Well, check it out. MBA for Entrepreneurs, Landscape Business Course. Check them out. MikeAndes.com.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Cool. So I wanted to ask you a question.
Please. I would love
So we
love
had,
that.
this is I know it's a touchy topic, you know, so you don't have to say everything or anything.
No, we're unfiltered, man.
So we had an executive meeting with more than just the executive team. So typically we just have the executive team, which is myself, you, Lee, and Liz.
No, Chuck.
What did I say?
You said myself, you, Lee, and Liz. I was there twice.
Chuck, Liz, Lee, Mike. There you go. The four of us. That's our executive team. And this time we just determined that at least at this one executive meeting, we would have representatives that were outside the executive team, inside the meeting.
Outside of the C-suite, if you will.
So it really became filtered then? The C-suite filtered?
Never.
So what were your thoughts on that? Pro, con, etc.
Pro. It is great to get more team members to see long-term vision, discussion, goals, and deeper thinking than a team meeting.
Right.
Big pro. Like
big pro.
it is hard for frontline employees to grasp what the vision of a company is going to be long-term when they work for someone like you. Just speaking from experience, as a frontline employee, sometimes I did not understand your decisions when I was in the field and didn't have a relationship with you. I was like, why are we doing that? Why is he saying that? Like, why are we not doing this anymore? Like, why are we cutting that out? It didn't make sense. But then when you have, for me at the time, offsites, and now because we have more of a corporate structure and you have, 50 employees at your command center, you have, your corporate, individual locations, probably another, 30, 40 employees there. So you have almost 100 employees, corporately, and then you have a manager team or an executive team of 4. It's the biggest pro is getting other representatives in not in a technical definition, at a lower level of the company to catch that vision, to see you explain it, to ask questions, to poke holes, and to see what the goal is. So that's the biggest pro. I would say con is sometimes, and it felt like this, that we go a little bit backwards. And I wouldn't say that in a negative way, but it's like rehashing things that have already been hashed out. And I think that's where, I didn't want to seem like I was, had any disdain towards anyone, but I realized I was fiddling with my water bottle cap for like a good 30 minutes. Like I was just sitting there in silence, just like spinning my cap. And then I was like, man, that probably looked really rude. Like after the meeting, I was like, shoot, that probably looked really rude because people were talking, but I was listening. I mean, you knew I was, but it felt like we would rehash things that didn't need to be rehashed or had already been gone over. It comes to a point where it's like, you are the CEO, you make a decision and we roll with it. And like, you could not like it, but when a decision has been made, like we roll with it until it fails. And when it fails, then we get to say, I was right, you were wrong.
Mike was wrong.
Yeah. Which I have said once or twice. And it's a fantastic feeling. But when you make a decision, I say, okay, great. Like we're rolling with it.
Which ones were wrong? I know there has been, but like, do you remember? I'm sure you...
I can't remember.
I know we've disagreed on stuff before, and you were right. I just forget which ones.
I don't relish in that stuff, though. It's
I
more
know.
like it's just fun to
And
poke.
usually-
It's fun to poke the bear. Like
and usually it's collaborative.
Yeah. I can't remember any.
Yeah.
But there was one where like you and I were 100% in disagreement, and I was 110% right. I honestly don't even recall what it was. And I'm sure I made like one funny comment to you, and then that was it. And then we moved on.
If we're so polar opposite, we end up coming somewhere in between there. Like, for example, the management of the local shop.
Yeah.
You opposed that one diametrically at the beginning. I was probably wrong and on some angles, and like in between there was like a happy medium.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how we do it. So, yeah, I think the executive meeting, like I said, good to get other people's input. Unfortunate when you backtrack or go to issues that don't need to be rehashed. I think it was good. I think, non-jokingly, like I was probably more filtered than I would have been. And I also unintentionally teed you up to really get you on the side of the employees. So that was good. Just, just being honest. I made a comment that most frontline employees would not agree with, and you took their side and looked like their savior, and it was fantastic. So I don't know.
Oh, man. A little resentment there, bro.
What?
I'm just joking.
I got no resentment.
Oh, man. Do you want to hash that one out anymore? Or are you good?
I'm good with that. I mean, I don't know. I could go into more detail, but it does, like, that's where it's like for you and your public content, like you don't, people are like, why don't you share revenue goals or like your P&Ls from your corporate locations? Like, well, I have real people in those positions and like it's their job, and like I'm not going to share numbers and what they make and that kind of stuff. And for me, it's like I could hash it more, but like there were real people at that meeting, and like, if any people from that meeting listen to this, like I have no issues or resentment or disdain.
Yeah.
Just, if you want to talk to me, we'll talk about it. I thought it was a good meeting overall.
Yeah.
Good meeting overall.
Yeah.
Not a great restaurant pick. I'm just going to.
Really?
No.
You didn't like that?
Dude, there was no meat on the menu.
It was a
I don't want to be that guy.
Bro.
Yeah.
It was at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, and I had
On a
avocado
Saturday.
toast.
Let's go. You're on 75 hard. Great segue.
Oh, perfect.
Avocado toast. How's
Yeah.
that been so far?
I'm done.
You're
I'm done.
It's been 75 days?
It's been 75 days.
2.5 months.
Yes.
Okay, so I already know your takeaway is that you felt selfish in doing so because
Yeah.
of the time constraints.
Mhm.
So explain yourself.
Yeah. Well, let's get some stats first.
Okay,
'Cause you're a
stats.
numbers guy.
Let's go.
Dude, what's my? Because I did.
How much do you lose? I can guess.
Yeah, you go. Yeah, guess just throw out the number. Official first day weigh in to last day weigh in.
18 pounds.
No,
Higher or lower?
higher.
Good for you, dude.
Thank you.
27?
Really close. 28.
Whoa,
Official.
dude,
Yeah.
good
Thank you.
job, man.
Yeah. Official
That's
first day to last day
awesome,
weigh in.
dude. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So so 28.
Do you feel better?
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yes and no. But also workouts. So like I hand up to all the people, Liz, that said I could not do 75 hard. You're right. So there you go.
You did 75 soft.
Yeah, I did more workouts and drank more water and read more books than 99% of Americans in 75 days, but I failed 75 hard. I did 444 out of the 150 workouts. So 2 workouts a day.
Okay.
7 days a week. So I did 144 out of 150. So I
Okay.
did miss 6. I will own that. I did all the gallons.
Wait a second. 75 hard. You should only have to do 150 workouts.
That's what I said. And I did 144 out of 150.
I think they said 4. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So I did 144 out of 150.
Gotcha.
So I did miss 6 workouts.
Yeah.
And that's fine, I did all the gallons. I don't think I missed a single gallon. I might have, but either way. Pages, I did over 950 pages.
What?
So 200 over.
That makes up for the 6 workouts.
Yeah, that makes up for the 6 workouts. What else is there? I wasn't sticking to a strict diet, but I did keep myself in a consistent deficit, obviously, based on the weight loss. Like, I was in a very consistent deficit. I tracked every day in an app.
Really?
Every single day. I can go back and look at all of them. So I did that well. And then I failed on alcohol because my wife's birthday and my birthday also fell in there. My wife and I did a weekend getaway, and they were like, "Oh, your hotel includes a wine tasting." And I was like, "What? I'm not gonna not have a glass of $70 French wine for free. That'd be a bad economic decision."
Yeah, we want that.
So yeah, I mean, I had
see your priorities, bro.
I had a couple of drinks during it, but like, I'm almost not a drinker. Like, I don't drink a lot at all. So it just is what it is. So
good job.
Those are the stats.
Good for you.
Thank you. But yeah, in terms of like the personal side of it, I think that my biggest takeaway is, and this is not a knock on anyone that's done it or the guys that I did it with, and shout out the guys that have done it. I think like 3 out of the 12 of us like stuck it out.
Really?
Pretty sure. I know Dave did. I just checked in with Dave.
Did Nick finish?
I'm not sure. I don't know who all. The group chat has gone pretty silent in the last couple of weeks. It was a real loud group chat at the beginning, and it's been real quiet.
It's also spring rush, so everyone's busy now.
Yeah. So I started a little bit before the group, but Dave, as of today, texted the group. He's on day 71, and he's still crushing it. So shout out Dave, the guy who originated it. So I do want to thank Dave publicly for just like trying to push us to be better. I wouldn't have done it without someone prodding me. So stoked that he did that, and all the guys in the group trying to encourage each other. So thank you to all the guys in the group if you listen to this. But I think for me, I don't know how you could do 75 hard if you have kids.
Yeah, I know.
It makes no sense, like no logical sense. I think one of my biggest takeaways is I think it's selfish to live a life where you're unhealthy. But I also think it's selfish to live a life of 75 hard, which it's not. You're not supposed to live a life like that. Yeah. But literally, I would wake up at 5:30. I'd go do my outside workout. Like, I had to go David Goggins style, savage. I did my outside workouts in the morning.
No shirt on? I just leave tearing
Dude,
down.
some of my jogs, I'm talking like it was, because I started in February. Right, some of my jogs were in like the snow and ice. It sucked. And then I'd come to work, and then I'd leave work, and I'd come home. And in the middle there, I'd go to the bathroom 30 times because I'm drinking a gallon of water. And then I'd like come home, I'd work out, I'd have dinner, I'd hang out with my wife for 5 minutes, and then I'd read, and then I'd be so exhausted I had to fall asleep. Yeah. Like, so it's I would say it's selfish a little bit. Yeah, that's my personal takeaway.
Now, don't you think though you could cut the weight and therefore be more productive, and then like say instead of doing 2 a day, it's 1 a day, 5 days a week or something like that, and maintain at a lower level but have higher levels of energy and things like that?
Yeah. So that's my plan moving forward. Okay. So like, I think I was living a pretty, is it sedentary? Is that like, I mean, I think that's probably an extreme for me, but I was living a pretty sedentary life. I was like, I'd work, I'd come home, I'd sit on the couch, maybe walk the dog, maybe go play tennis with my wife, like very minimal activity. So for me, it was like a kickstart, like, let's go. I need to get back into shape. Like, I was unhealthy, hand up, I'll admit that. And I'm happy with where I'm at. I think I want to maybe lose a little bit more. But I'm very happy with where I'm at. Like, I don't like wake up just sore for no reason. Like when you're unhealthy, you're just like, you just wake up and you're like sore. Right. Like, I'm like, oh, like I feel good. So I think that's one of the things I have noticed. I wouldn't say I have more energy, but I think I'm just exhausted from just finishing it. Right. Whereas I think the energy will come, but I feel like I sleep better. I feel like I wake up and I'm like ready to attack the day. My dieting habits are better. Like recently, like my wife and I just did a big dinner. She was like, let's do like a big baked ziti, like a huge baked Italian dish. And I was like, let's do it. And I had a lot. And then the next day I didn't eat till like 4 because I was like listening to my body like, oh, I don't need more food just because it's lunchtime. Yeah. Like I am stuffed from last night. So a lot of positive changes. I'm excited. So now I'm going to try to do workouts 3-4 times a week and have more energy and more time to do things.
That's good, man. Let's go.
So yeah, thanks for checking in.
It's good to, I feel, have times, even if it's a month or two, where you prove to yourself that you don't have a dependency on whether it be food, and I know people do it with alcohol or working out. Like, oh, I can do that. Like, I can check that off. Like, I am not a lazy bones. Like, I can go out and work hard. And that's even partly why I'm going in June, like to go start my own location. It's like, look, I have been in the office for a few years, but like I can go out and do this. It's half of it is proving it to yourself that like you're not washed up, or like you haven't developed bad habits. So good for you, man. Thank you. Proud.
I feel like I also got more respect too for like the guys in the field when I was doing those outside workouts. I was like, I did forget how miserable it is sometimes. Like you get the office job and you're like, oh yeah, it did suck. Cause like I do a 45-minute workout outside. I remember when I used to work 8 hours in the rain. Yeah. So it's like, I had respect for all the guys out there. So we are going to bring Dustin on right now. We did record this with him, but we're doing a little live pod interview with Dustin. He's got some topics for you.
Because he was the winner of the challenge.
He won the March Madness Bracket Challenge.
Let's go.
Maybe we'll do more challenges in the future to get people on, but he his goal is to cancel Mike and I.
Let's go.
We'll listen to that.
All right.
Cool, right on. Well, I wanted to welcome on Dustin Bierink, who won our March Madness Bracket Challenge. Now we're in April, but we're halfway through April. But what's up, Dustin?
Who do you think was going to win?
I think I had Alabama winning it, but UConn ended. I think I had Alabama, UConn playing each other.
Got it.
Got lucky with the points.
Now, do you actually follow basketball, or is this like completely luck?
Yeah, so this is the first year I haven't watched like any basketball at all. I'm a huge Michigan fan, so I love Michigan. I like Duke when Coach K was there, so I kind of bounce back and forth between those two. But yeah, I watched nothing until March Madness, which is very so. Yeah,
you're a Michigan fan from Illinois, but did you go to like a major college or?
No, I went to Davenport and Grand Rapids, so like. Okay. In Michigan, but just always, my dad was always a big Michigan fan and the whole family was. So just kind of followed suit. And luckily they're kind of back on the right track now in football and basketball, but it's taken them a couple of years. It was hard growing up to be a Michigan fan there for a while.
Okay, so what's this controversial things that you wanted to talk about today on the C-Suite Unfiltered?
Yeah, so I was gonna.
Dude, it never starts off good when you do this.
Yeah,
dude, I got a cease and desist today because of what I said on the podcast.
No shot.
Yeah, dude.
That's crazy. No, so I'm gonna talk about Bud Light and their recent marketing endeavors, and kind of where that's gotten them. And I'm more interested. I'm sure like everybody kind of understands what's going on with like the transgender being the head of, not the head of the marketing, but like the focal point in the ads. I'm interested in kind of your opinion of like when a business does that, what is the not optimal way to get out of that, but like backtracking, because now they've lost, I think it's 5 billion just in that, like since that's happened. So like what do you feel is like the correct way for the CEO or the head of advertising to kind of like backtrack, or do you just keep continuing on with the decision you made and roll with that?
This is actually really good timing because I don't know if you saw the email, but like today I had to apologize for Landscape Business Course, right? Mm-hmm. So I would take that approach if I was them, and that's just like, hey, we were wrong. We thought we were going one direction and we're sorry. What they do the reason they won't do that is because they would make the 1% of people that thought it was great. They would make them so mad, and they're the very loud minority. Yep. And also, what's interesting is a lot of the equity firms behind them that have billions and billions of dollars invested in them, they're the ones that are pushing these agendas and requiring the big brands in the Fortune 500s that they're investing in to have these type of optics. So they're saying, hey, you must use X, Y, and Z amount of racially and sexually diversification inside of your board, all of these things. So, these companies are somewhat hand-tied. What I would do in recognizing that like they completely alienated their customer base would probably just be to apologize. They will not do that. It will not happen that way. The woman that is in charge of that marketing campaign and said that she wants to like make it more inclusive, she has a job for life. They will not be able to fire her. Because if they fire her, people would just be freaking out. And from a sales perspective, it'd be good for them. But the reason they won't take action on this is because they've intertwined social injustices with business, and I think that's a bad move. So,
yeah, I think there's two elements of like anecdotal evidence Right. And this is why I think some people are very cautious about saying, let's ban TikTok, because I can get content from Joe Schmo across the world. And it's like real, honest content. And I have seen multiple TikToks and Instagram posts of like Walmart aisles or Kroger aisles in the store. And it's like full of Bud Light and Budweiser. And there's no Miller Lite and no Coors Light. So I know it's anecdotal, but also perfect timing. I went to a bachelor party over the weekend, and there was not a single Bud Light in sight.
Really?
Not a single Bud Light or a Budweiser. It was all Coors Light. So
I think we're going through I think like with all social things, like whether it be social reform in any way, like you have these swings in the pendulum, right? Like I think 2019, 2020, 2021 was very much like very progressive, liberal, like you need to push these agendas, right? And I think that works really well in like a boom economy. But when everyone starts tightening their belt, it comes down to like what pays the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like when you look at even like blockbuster movies that have done really well over the past couple of years, it's a lot of the ones that haven't been pushing these agendas and haven't been, Disney now has to kind of like retrack their steps of everything they've been pushing. And so I think now like the general population is like, hey, we went way too far over here and there's something in the middle here that we're trying to go for. And like, I don't know that. That's why back to our discussion last week, I think a moderate president that has like someone across the aisle would actually do half decent, because people are like, we want something in the middle, not so left or so right. But yeah, in general, it's like why businesses just should not deal with anything like politically, socially, racially, sexually. Like it's not our job to do that. And so that's why Lee has me on this podcast, to make sure I get canceled in the businesses. But yeah, it's kind of a cool topic though.
I found one of the guys I listened to, I can't remember which one it was this morning, but they were talking about like why is the head of marketing deciding what like the approach to the marketing campaign, like why is that even her decision? And they're saying like, or his response was like, that's just how it's starting to become. Like if the business's vision isn't like super brought forth, or like someone in the marketing campaign like feels some type of way that they don't have a spot to go in, they'll just make a decision out of the blue, and like now it's affecting the business. I just thought it was pretty interesting, kind of that approach to it. But now I can kind of see too where you're saying the big donors are like the people that you don't see behind closed doors are like, hey, we need to push this for sure. They completely miss their target market, but hey, it's
now if I was the CEO, and let's assume that the marketing department did their thing and I didn't know about it, because that is a possibility in that size of an organization.
That's the CEO came out and said that.
Really? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I don't know that he stepped down, but in his response was like, I was unaware that was coming out, which is.
But it doesn't matter, because you still have to apologize. And
yeah.
You still have to take accountability. In my opinion, like if I was the CEO, I would fire her, not based upon anything to do with the campaign, but like the results of your tenure here has not been good.
Right.
And of course, that's going to be spun really, really negatively. And that's why they won't do that. But that's what I would personally do. Like if something happened, I didn't know about it, and then it blows up in the face of the business, like it's your fiduciary responsibility as a CEO to fire, cut that out, distance yourself as fast as possible. And I would, if I was trying to be politically correct, instead of going way against what was said, I'd just be like, we're firing this individual because of performance. And then I would let my customer base read into the fact as much as they want.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's interesting too. And I know this is a bit like, this is corporate America, right? But we're starting to see more pushback when these agendas, whether they're left or right, are being put in front of us. So like a recent story too, like hockey, the NHL has done like Pride Night jerseys, right? And they do like rainbow logos and stuff. And like some of the designs are honestly really cool.
Yeah.
But recently a couple guys, I think for like the Florida Panthers, one of them was like, no, like I'm a Russian Orthodox, and like one, like gay marriage is still illegal in Russia, and I'm a Russian national citizen, so I don't want to be like ridiculed by my own country, or be like in trouble in my own country, because Russia kind of does what they want. And two, he's like, I'm a Russian Orthodox and that's my faith, and therefore I don't support this. I'm not going to wear the jersey. And then of course everyone's like, he's a bigot, he's this, he's that. And it's like, these individual issues are now becoming like corporate issues, and it's like really showing the divide in America, unfortunately.
But what really moves the needle is the dollars and cents,
Yep.
baby. That's when people start caring. And so that's why, ultimately a lot of stuff always goes by the way the dodo bird is, because like whether it be in Disney and movies or you try to make this into like a thing with food and drinks, it's like, look, people do not have anything to do with it. And when they stop making their buying decisions, and it's not like we're going to like, what's the word? We stop, to tell everyone not to buy something. Boycott. It's not like everyone's boycotting it necessarily. And it's just a matter of like, and look, it just makes you sick. Like, I don't want to identify myself with that. And that's what a brand is. And that's like the power of something like Bud Light is their brand. Budweiser, Coca-Cola, Coke, Pepsi. That is what their foundation of billions of dollars worth of value is their brand, not the drink. It's not anything better than the other alternatives. And so when you have everything built on brand, if something damages that, you must like get all hands on deck and like fix that problem. And so it'll be really interesting to see what they do. But at the end of the day, Anheuser-Busch is so massive. I think they'll take the L on Bud Light, just to be able to save face with the loud minority.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that, Dustin?
No, I was just interested in how you backtrack out of that, because it was a pretty big crash and burn. So yeah.
Give me the Midwest take. How's it over there? Have you seen any sales drops? Have you walked through any aisles? What have you noticed?
No,
but Dustin, tell us how frequently you go down the beer aisle and how you're tracking the sales of the different brands.
Yeah, I'm not personally tracking them. I'm not a big Bud Light drinker anyway, so that was kind of not my. I'm a big Busch guy though, so that was kind of unfortunate that the parent company, took a hit. But yeah, no, it's kind of the butt of the joke now. It's we'll leave it at that. I don't want to get canceled. So
yeah, but like honestly, if you go a 1 quarter and all of a sudden they see 30-40% decline in sales and their competition sees the opposite in the other direction, everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
And this one will probably be like, it'll be on the DL. They won't come out and say anything, but yeah, there'll be things happening behind the scenes for sure.
100%.
So
all right. What else you got for us? You want to keep pushing?
Yeah. So Juul, which is like the vaping thing, they just had a $462 million settlement. 6 states in the District of Columbia are the guys that are getting the money. And the reason for that is for aggressively marketing to young people. Is this something you feel like the government should be getting involved in, or should they just let it be? And some other stats just kind of to add to it, they've had $1 billion worth of settlements now, and it's been across 46 states since the beginning of the company. The company's now valued at $250 million. I don't know that I believe that. That's just what I heard or read today. And that's down from $12.8 billion in 2018. So yeah, just kind of interested in seeing if the government should be getting involved in how they're marketing to young people. Because the way like I look at the marketing, like we're marketing in my business for, older demographic, like 55, 75 retired. Obviously we're not trying to get older people to vape, but we're like very focused on them. So what's to say the government can't step in on my business and say, hey, you cannot be marketing only to these neighborhoods, or pinpoint your marketing to those people.
I don't know. I'm just glad I don't have this job of actually making the laws, because it's so like gray. Because I'm in general like hands off, don't touch, like let the free market do its thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it's gonna kill people, then they're all gonna die, and then everyone who's not vaping will be fine, right? So like yeah. I'm a big fan of just like letting the free market do its thing. But it also, kids don't know. But then it's like, well, what about the parents? Like, where are the parents involved here? And what about educating them about these decisions instead of just allowing, Juul to do their marketing and their education process? So
yeah, but like, where do you draw the line of like, oh, this company's marketing to children, right? And so, Dustin, while you were talking, I was like, well, and I'll put this up on the screen, but like, I looked up an old cigarette ad, right? Because that was like one of the first things that like the federal government was like, we got to regulate this. It literally says, Viceroy's filtered the smoke as your dentist would recommend, right? And it's like a dentist telling you what filtered cigarette to smoke. Like it'll help your gums. It's like, okay, well that's obviously lying. We know that now. But at what point do we draw the line? Well, it's too targeted towards kids, right? And that's like Joe Cool, the camel, right? And he was like a cartoon camel that like appealed to kids. And didn't he get outlawed or banned? I don't know, right? So I don't want the government to say like, nope, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm with Mike on that. Like, I'd rather them be hands off personally. Like, where do you draw the line and who draws that line?
Yeah, I feel that same way. And I think what was interesting, like when I was reading through some of the stuff, initially it's like the ads are too pointed to young people, but then like also embedded in the article is, well, they were saying that it's healthier than a cigarette. Okay, well, which one is it though? Like, is it because you're marketing and saying it's better than a cigarette and it isn't, or is it because the people that you're targeting, that your marketing is doing a fantastic job with, is winning young people, you know?
And who's the government to say what's healthy and what's not, right? Like, for example, what's to prevent Mr. Beast with all his controversies now around what's his name? Chris Tyson. Gender, and then like their chocolate bar is called D's Nuts, and they're making jokes about D's Nuts. Like,
phenomenal chocolate bar, by the way.
Really?
I had to get one. They are phenomenal.
It's okay. It's better than Hershey's.
Yeah.
So like who determines what is healthy and what's not, right? And so, you know, if the government is able to now dictate what goes in our mouth, what we see, and everything else about our lives, it's like, well, then where are we at in terms of democracy?
Yeah. Here's one of the things that I thought was the stupidest about Juuls and flavored vapes is they were like, oh, it's going to cause a rise in teen smoking. I'm like, yeah, no, duh. It's called watermelon cotton candy. Like, of course it's going to increase teen smoking. They're like, well, you know, cigarettes, like we're so scared about teens getting cigarettes. And then like you have mango flavored Juul Pods. It's like, of course a 16-year-old.
So I'm like super uneducated in this department. Some of them have nicotine and some others don't, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can get some that are just vapor. Right. And there's no nicotine.
And so what's the point of that? Just like social,
I guess. Okay. I don't know. I
feel good.
Feel good, I guess. Look cool. I don't know. But then they do have some that have nicotine. And then some of the regulation, if you go really down the rabbit hole, is about like the way that they infuse the nicotine with the vapor. I don't know how it all works. I don't know the technology.
Yeah, the bottom line is like it's an addictive substance, right?
Right.
But like so is coffee and like all these other energy drinks and everything else that we like. Sugar is addictive. So like when are we going to start regulating that?
Well, New York is.
Well, we won't do it until Coca-Cola and Hershey's and all these massive corporations stop lobbying.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
I fully agree with you that the government should just get out of it.
It's not to even say that I agree with that it should be happening, but I just in general think the government should stay out of it. The only thing they should have a say in is the fact that they provide free education. They should be creating a program around educating the kids potentially about the downsides of having a nicotine or an addictive substance. That's on them. Like, it's a free education. Do what you want. And if I don't want my kids to be in there, I'll go give them a private education. But I think the fact is like, just let them go.
Yeah. And I think honestly, like I have experience with people that have tried to quit smoking. Like I have friends that used to smoke off and on, and they were like, no, like vaping helped me quit smoking. And now I only vape occasionally. Yeah. Like, but they would be, a pack a week type person, a couple cigarettes a day. And now they're like, no, I just vape occasionally when I feel like I need that. And I'm like, well, that has to be healthier, right? Like that has to be a good life decision. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and a little bit of money too.
Yeah.
Buy them little cartridge. I don't know. I don't do that, but like,
just like you don't know how many Bud Lights are being sold. You're in your market research, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we better let you go. We got to finish this episode of C-Suite Unfiltered podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks for canceling us, bro. Take care.
Sure.
Bye.